is an animal more like us than we ever imagined.
Chimpanzees are predators.
They hunt because they like meat.
What?
An animal with a deadly side.
They hunt anything that's small enough to get.
They chew the hands and the feet and the guts first.
What?
An animal that attacks its own kind.
What? Hold on. Pause that. Let me rewind that again. They eat meat. What? And they eat the hands and the guts first. What? And they attack their own kind. Don't it sound like Russia and America, NATO, Ukraine, North Korea, South Korea, Iran, Israel? Don't it sound like them? Huh? Hold on. What?
There is an animal more like us than we ever imagined.
Chimpanzees are predators.
They hunt because they like meat.
An animal with a deadly side.
They hunt anything that's small enough to get.
They chew the hands and the feet and the guts first.
An animal that attacks its own kind.
They would hold him or grab him, bite him, hit him, stomp on him.
An animal whose dark side we seem to share.
It's like watching a murderer.
Wait a minute. So a dark side that we seem to share? Oh, no wonder why it was so easy to enslave women and children and men. No wonder why it was so easy to skin them alive and make purses and pocketbooks out of them. No wonder why it's so easy to hang them from trees and set fire on them and take pictures with dead corpses. No wonder why. Now I'm getting a more understanding of this.
In the heart of equatorial Africa, a series of bizarre killings is being investigated. No one, not even the village elders, can recall a case quite like it. The chief suspect is not a person, but a chimpanzee. In pursuit of the killer is Kateba Deo, ex-tracker at the local chimpanzee research project, now Africa's #1 chimp detective. The setting for the drama is a patchwork of fields, forests, and tea plantations. Welcome to Uganda and the green hills of Rutete County.
When you pour a glass of Bib and
Squeezed between the Congo and Kenya, Uganda is home to some 26 million people and several thousand chimpanzees, two competing species. In the west of the country, where the human population is growing fastest, a conflict has flared. The past 7 years have seen 15 attacks by chimps on young children, over half of them fatal. As we follow this unprecedented trail of attacks, we'll discover that chimpanzees have a dark side that few of us could have imagined. It's a dark side that will shake us, not just because we are its victims, but because it will confront us with a truth about ourselves. The very idea that chimps are killers seems contrary to almost everything we've learned about them. For over 40 years, our observations of wild chimpanzees have revealed an animal of singular sophistication. Look into a chimp's eyes, and an intelligent mind gazes back. An animal with thoughts, feelings, and a personality. Their bonds of friendship can last 50 years or more.
And an uncontrolled desire to fight and
Chimps
kill.
even have the beginnings of culture. They pick up and pass on the skills of their own particular group. Some scientists suspect that chimpanzees actually have a sense of wonder. We shouldn't be too surprised. Chimpanzees are our nearest living relatives, more closely allied to us even than they are to gorillas.
Wow.
Around 99% of their DNA is still identical to ours. But of course, few of us will ever see them in the wild. Our impressions of chimpanzees are formed much closer to home. And it's their lighter side that has always charmed the crowds. With the youngsters, it's all fun and games. But as they grow older, a darker side can emerge. On the 11th of April 1994, at a zoo in England, volunteer keeper Angelique Todd set out to feed the chimps. Among them was Buster, an adult male.
I knew this chimp for 3 years. I had a quite good relationship with him. Male chimpanzees in captivity in general, you have to be careful with them. They're one of the most dangerous animals in a zoo. They can be very aggressive and very feisty. So you always are cautious.
Though alone, Angelique felt safe. She'd worked here for several years and knew the routine. What she didn't know was that today, Buster was in a dangerous mood. A small gap under his cage would give him just enough room to strike.
He saw his opportunity and he took it. These kind of events, you go in slow motion, you're in shock, you're trying to survive. First of all, I thought I could take off my coat and he could just get my coat. Then I tried obviously pulling my arm back and there was no point in doing that whatsoever. I couldn't provide any resistance. He was just so strong. It was pure survival. I was watching myself being eaten alive. The first thing that happened was he bit my thumb off, practically almost down to the first joint. Then my index finger, and then he was just working.
Pause. Cannibalism. Look, he bit it off, and he was going to eat it. So just so that you know, and I said this before, see, this white woman has forgotten her counterpart. She forgotten how this white man really is. So what she stated about this male chimpanzee, how aggressive as an adult he is, what they're willing to do. You see, she forgot. The white woman today forgot. But don't worry though, you are going to be all together, and your memory will come back very, very soon.
Self up my arm. Obviously, all my arteries were severed. I lost a huge amount of muscle mass, almost all of it, in fact. I still have tooth wounds on either side of my arm. But this is much, much improved.
What was Buster playing at?
I think what he wanted to do was just get hold of me. I think initially it was just, I can get hold of her, I can see a hole, there's a way that I can grab her, and that's what his initial reaction was. After he bit my thumb off and obviously the blood started spurting out, then it became kind of like a feeding frenzy.
Tonight's not
Was after he bit my thumb off and obviously the blood started spurting out, then it became kind of like a feeding frenzy.
Cannibalism.
I continued working at the zoo a little while after my accident also. It was felt that it was very important for me to go and see this chimp for counselling reasons. When I went back, he couldn't look at me in the face. He just had his head on the ground all the time. And whether one interprets that as remorse or that he knows that he did a bad thing, I don't know.
chimps like Busta have long since outgrown their playful charm.
By the time they're 15 or 20 years old, they're 3 or 4 times as strong as the strongest man and capable of tremendous violence.
Harvard zoologist Professor Richard Wrangham has been studying chimpanzees in the wild for over 30 years and knows better than most the Jekyll and Hyde nature of these complex creatures. At one extreme of this contradictory nature is something he finds utterly compelling. An extraordinary capacity for violence.
A very violent species.
Wrangham's research project is in western Uganda, in Kabale National Park. It's prime chimp habitat, dense rainforest, right up to the boundary. Outside the park lie the fields and villages of Rutete County, home of our chimp detective Kitty Badeo and his growing homicide investigation. With chimps and people coming into contact more often, Wrangham's concerns have spread beyond his own research.
You get sightings in the village areas, sometimes several a week,
Look
of
at the eyes.
chimpanzees. Sometimes
Look at his eyes.
in a month, the chimpanzees encounter children at close quarters within 5 or 10 meters, half a dozen times.
Along with a Ugandan colleague, Wrangham's research student Mike Wilson visited a local school to teach the kids about chimps. He was surprised, though, by what the kids told them.
We asked the school children what they knew about chimpanzees. And one of them said, oh, well, they attack people. They kill children. And Donor said, have you seen this? Have you ever seen a chimpanzee attack someone? How many in this room have seen a chimpanzee attack someone? And they all raised their hands.
Now, how
A
many?
week later, they were
Now, ask your children how many of them seen or heard of so-called white people attacking and abusing black people. Stop playing with me. Just stop playing with me, my people. This is a very violent animal, which is spliced and genetically spliced and mutated inside of a living organism that we call today the white man, the Asian man, and the Arab man. This is why they have no problem with violence and manipulating at the same time to act like they don't. They act like they're not violent. Call it whatever you want. This is not racism. This is not hatred. I'm going to put the link to this video in the description, my people. You can watch the full entire video. As you can see, it's almost 50 minutes. But this is real deep.